All right, welcome to this step-by-step tutorial in order to get your client agreement set up. Part number one is going to be editing the Google document. So the reason why we're going to be first starting off in a Google Doc is because it's going to be very easy for us to be able to make changes to the actual text before we go ahead and actually build it out inside of ClientKit. So what you're going to go ahead and do is that underneath this training, there is going to be a document that is a new client agreement template. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and click on that Google document link. And once you actually go ahead and do that, it is going to go ahead and open up to something that looks like this. Now, what you are going to notice is that you are not going to be able to make edits to this specific template. Why? Because it is a template. And so what you are going to need to do is you are going to need to go ahead and click on File. And then you're going to go ahead and click on Make a Copy. And then when you do that, it's going to allow you to make a copy of the template that we are providing for you. Remember, so this is a part of the process that you have with the course is that we're going ahead and doing 80 to 90% of the work for you. So that way it's very easy for you to get up and going with your business. Now, in the guide, we have a lot of details here. Obviously, you can go ahead and read and have it next to you as you're going through this, but you want to go ahead and name the actual Google document copy something that's going to be more aligned with your specific company, right? So that way you have it as a reference, you can go back and look at it. So in this case, let's say, for example, my company's name was BodyForge. I would say BodyForge, and I'm going to make this new client agreement, just like that, right? Now, if you want to save it under My Drive, you can do that. However, we would recommend you keep yourself organized so that way you can save it under the appropriate folder. But regardless, for right now, in this example case, I'm just going to go ahead and click on Make a Copy. Now, when you do that, it's going to go ahead and open up in a new tab, like you saw that it did right there. And now this is my actual editable version that I can go in and actually edit. Now, for clarity, I want to go ahead and really make this clear here. What we've done is inside of this, we're actually going ahead and everything in yellow, we're going to go ahead and walk you through how to be able to go ahead and change that because of the fact that everything in yellow is a part of the template that is going to be a one-time change that you make and you're not going to have to edit it in the future. Then we're also going to talk about the red, but the red here, we're not going to talk about that in this specific training section because we're going to talk about that when we talk about part 4, because that's something that's going to be custom for every single client, right? So, hey, the program deliverables and the duration and the payment terms and all that kind of stuff, we'll walk through that in an upcoming training section. So let's go ahead and get the actual template part, which is the yellow part, rocking and rolling. So I'm going to go ahead and zoom in here so you guys can see a little bit more. And so what we're going to first go ahead and do is we are going to go ahead and start updating the actual LLC and business name. Now, there's a couple features in here that you're going to start to learn about computers, and that's going to be helpful for you if you don't already know them, which is inside of Google Docs, there is actually a very, very special feature that is called Find and Replace. Now, this is inside of Google Docs that makes it easy to be able to find and replace something. So if you go over to Edit and then you go Find and Replace, you will see that that is available there. Now, the other way that you could do this is on your keyboard, you can hit Command F or Control F, and then you can hit these 3 dots, and that's also going to open up the Find and Replace. And that's very similar to in the Google Chrome browser. If you hit the 3 dots and then you go over to Find and Edit and then Find, you'll see that it opens up the browser's Find over here, right? So there is a difference between this is the browser's Find box, okay? But then Google Docs has its own Find box over here, right? So this is different. This is the browser, and then this is the actual Google Chrome Find box, okay? And so what we're going to be doing for this purpose is we are going to be using the Google Chrome Find box right here, and then we click on More Options, or like I showed you under Edit, we can go ahead and do it over there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and copy, okay? Or you can go ahead and type it, it's up to you, but in this case, I'm going to copy. And the hotkey just means the shortcut on the keyboard is going to be Control-C or Command-C on the keyboard, or you can right-click and then click copy. That way, in my opinion, I like to just do it via the hotkey, so I'm going to just Control-C. I'm going to go ahead and paste that right here where it says Find. Wait 1 second, I apologize, I didn't copy it yet, so let me go ahead and do that. So copy, and then paste right there, boom. And you see, it shows me there are 83 different places in which I'm going to have to go ahead and insert this. Now, I could do it manually, and that's the way that we did it in the past with some of the things that were on using the browser search, right? But the thing is that now that we're in Google Doc, and this is the reason why we're having you start in Google Doc first, is because they do have this replace feature, okay? And this is, again, something that is specific to Google Docs that makes it very easy for us to be able to use this. And so what we're now going to go ahead and do, as you're going to start to see inside of the guide, we're following following along with what is located in here, we're actually going to go ahead and put in what the name of our LLC or our corporation is. Now, at this point, you may have your corporation already built, or you might be in the process of doing that in the background, because that is what we did recommend, so that way you don't get hung up with that. So whatever your LLC name is going to be, you could also go ahead and put that here, right? So right here, let's say, for example, I'm going to go with Body Forge LLC. Let's say hypothetically that is the name there, okay? Now, over here at the bottom, there is a couple different settings. Let me see if I can zoom in for you guys so you can see a little bit closer. There are a couple different settings here, right? So match case would mean, hey, whatever you find, it has to match exactly this capital lowercase case right here. And there's also like regular expressions, ignore italics, right? So you can always play around with this later on as you learn some of these more advanced features. But for right now, all I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm just going to go ahead and hit replace, right? And what that's going to do, let me go ahead and undo here so real quick so you can see what that did. Let me go ahead and go back here, and whoopsie daisies, give me 1 second. Okay, so we're back. So this right here is what it did. We can actually go in and let's say if we go ahead and do, so what we could do is we could do replace all. Now, according to the document, what we're going to recommend is that, and if you just move this out of the way, you'll actually be able to see what this looks like. We would recommend that you do in fact do this as one by one by one. So what it's going to do is going to see that it's going to show the insert LLC name, right? So the darker green right over here, that's the one that has currently selected. And then if I go ahead and hit replace, boom, you'll see that it actually went ahead and replaced the one that was in dark green. So the next one now that is highlighted is this one. Now, what we would recommend is that we would recommend going and doing replace one by one. So you're going to hit replace 82 times. It was 83 times before that last one that I did, because then what it's going to do is better to be safe than sorry. So that way you can actually double check to make sure that it is in fact replacing the things properly. Okay. So in this case, you're going to hit replace, right? So you see is replace. At the discretion of, yep, that's good, good, right? So all I'm doing is I'm looking and I'm going through this entire process to make sure that all of the dark greens are in fact exactly what I want to have replaced. Now, because this is just an example, right? And I don't want this to be a massive training where you're sitting here and just seeing me hit the replace button over and over again. I'm going to go ahead and hit replace all. And it's going to go ahead and do it all in one place. However, our recommendation for you is to actually do it one-on-one, because it's going to be better for you to do it that way, okay? So that is going to be the first part of this, which is editing the LLC business name, okay? Next up, we are now going to go and we're going to go ahead and also do a search for state and city. So we're going to repeat the exact same process. We're going to go ahead and copy state, okay? So we're going to copy state. We're going to put that here, and you'll see there's only one place for state over here, okay? So that's pretty easy. I don't even need the search box here. And I can just come over here, and I can put state, and in this case, we're going to be in Texas. Now, you'll see how it's kind of annoying that it turns out yellow here. That's pretty easy to do because obviously it's just taking the yellow that was there. We just go ahead and highlight this, and then we can go and click on the highlight color there, and then click highlight color none. And that'll remove the yellow on there, okay, if we wanted to make it clean. And then right over here, we could do the same thing. So let's say, for example, in my case, I am in Dallas. And if I wanted to remove the highlight, I can remove the highlight there as well. Now, what we're going to do next is we're going to scroll down to the actual terms of sale. And you'll see that we actually have another yellow piece right over here with that. And so what we're going to do is that in this yellow, this is your company support email. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to replace this. And whatever your support email is, support at, in this case, we're going to use bodyforgefitness.com, right? That's going to go right there. I'm going to go ahead and put a period there as well, so that way it looks all nice. Boom, just like that. Beautiful. That's literally all there is now in terms of editing the actual client agreement inside of the Google Doc, okay? So literally that was all when we talk about part number 1. This is what we're talking about. You just want to go ahead and make sure you review it. Go ahead and look over it. Remember, you do want to make sure that you remove the brackets. It's not that you're only putting your support email inside the brackets. You want to make sure that you remove the brackets as well. So just make sure you go through there. Now, the other thing that I'll mention is that these right here, these things, these are kind of like these other brackets that exist here. You want to leave those, right? That's not a part of the guide that we went ahead and walked through, because those are custom values that we're going to show you inside of the software, how the software is automatically going to go ahead and fill that in there for you, right? But in terms of all the stuff that we've gone ahead and recommended you change on there, make sure you actually make those changes inside of the Google document, okay? So that is going to be part number 1, which is editing the Google document. What we're now going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and jump into part number 2, which is building the agreement inside of ClientKit. I'm going to go ahead and do this as one take, so that way you can see how it's done back to back to back, right? So we've edited the Google document, and now what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and open up, and you see I have it open up in another tab. We're going to go over to ClientKit, and then what we're going to do from here is we are going to go ahead and click on payments right over there. And when we click on payments, we're then going to go ahead and go over to contracts, okay? And when we go over to contracts, we're going to click on contracts and then click on templates underneath contracts. And again, this is all documented inside of the guide as well. So you'll see contracts and then we click on templates. The reason why we're creating this as a template is so that way we are able to go ahead and use this over and over again, right? So yes, it is possible to create this as a one-time, but instead what we're going to do is we're going to make sure we create this as a template, okay? Then from there, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and click on the new button right there. And we're going to go ahead and click on new template, okay? What that's going to do is going to go ahead and open up the new template screen, okay? From there, what we're going to go ahead and do is the first thing is going to go ahead and name the template. The name of the template is going to be template/new client agreement, okay? So right over here, we're going to go ahead. I did Command C, Control C on Windows. Okay, so I copied that without the actual quotation marks. And then we're going to go ahead and paste that right over there. Now, just so you can see, I'm going to try and see if I can make this a little bit bigger, zoom in a little bit for you. There we go. And so that way the name is specifically there because this specific name, you have to follow the instructions because this name with the brackets is going to be handy for us when we're actually sending this to a client. So don't worry, there's a method to the madness. It is going to make sense because like we said, we've already done 80 to 90% of the work for you. Okay. Next up, what we're then going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and click on this plus button, which is going to add an element. And we're going to go ahead and click on text and drag the text box over to the main screen over here. Awesome. So once we've gone ahead and done that, this properties might show up. We can just go ahead and close this. And now we went ahead and we actually have over here a text box that we can now actually start copying from our Google document. So next up, you're going to see that we now have to start building the pages. And what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and I'm going to pull this up into another window over here. Okay. And again, because I'm recording, I can't actually use my full monitor, but that's the reason why we recommend when we go through the tech tutorials, having another monitor, having another kind of, external setup or having a larger monitor. All of these are different variations that are extremely helpful. So that way it's easy for you to do this kind of work. Okay. So what we're going to do here is now that we have the Google document side by side, it's now just a game of copying and pasting. Okay. Now, one thing I want to emphasize is that you will see that we actually have built out for you these lines inside of the Google document. These lines indicate that that is going to be another page in the actual legal agreement. And I'm going to walk you through how to actually add another page so you can see how this works. Okay, so we're going to scroll to the top and what you're going to see here is we're going to go ahead and copy and paste, right? So we're going to copy this, again, Command C or Control C on your keyboard, or if you're old school, you can go ahead and copy it, right click and copy there. However, obviously you're starting a business, so you're going to learn some new skills. I would recommend learning the hotkey Command C, Control C because it's going to be much easier for you to do it. And then once you go ahead and come over here, this is where you can actually go ahead and paste. Now, paste is also the same thing. Command V or Control V on Windows is the hotkey for that. Or again, you could go in and paste it that way. However, we would recommend for you to learn the hotkey. And then once you actually go ahead and paste it, now there is some formatting options on here so we can make this centered right there. And then what we can do is we can go ahead and copy all the way up until the line there. Okay, so we go ahead and click on this and I'm going to go ahead and Command V or Control V paste. Now, here's where is another new skill that you're going to learn when it comes to computers. See how it pasted all like the formatting is all wonky? This is because what it did is it actually pasted without copying the same format, right? The spacing is all messed up. And so what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to go ahead and undo. Now, if you don't know what the hotkey for undo actually is, the hotkey is actually Command Z. Now, I'm going to go ahead and bring up my virtual keyboard here so you can see what I'm saying, right? So I'm on a Mac, an Apple computer. And so if I do command, right? So command is that button right there if you're on a Mac. If you're not on a Mac, if you're on a Windows computer, then that's going to be the button that's control. And then if you just hit the Z button, you will see what that does is it actually undoes what it is that you just did. And that's kind of pretty global, not only on the Chrome browser, but it's pretty much everywhere. It's kind of universal where Command Z or Control Z on a keyboard is typically what's going to be undo, okay? And then what you do is you can come back over here, you can copy once again. So you'll see on here, Command C is what I'm hitting, right? So Command C in order to copy. And then when I come over here, I can go ahead and actually right click and do paste and match style. So this is different than a normal paste, right? So I can paste and match style and you'll see that it actually matches the style that I want it to be. And let me zoom in a little bit for you so you can see. And just so you know, zoom in and zoom out, that's going to be Command plus or Command minus, okay? And again, excuse me, that's on a Mac or an Apple computer, but if it's on a Windows, it's gonna be the same thing, but Control. And so you'll see that is going to be how you can actually paste and match style. Now, what I like about this is because it did preserve all of the formatting. The only thing is it didn't preserve the actual bullet points, right? So I wanted the bullet points on there, but that's okay. What we can do is we can just go ahead and highlight this right over here, right? So we have customized, 3 weekly, continuous, customized exercise, right? So then I go ahead and highlight those and then go ahead and make that a bullet point. Beautiful. And with that, we've gone ahead and now reached our line, right? So that means that we've reached the point that is the first page. We're now going to go ahead, let me zoom out and show you here. We're now going to go ahead and add another page. How we do that is we click on the plus button, okay? And then we got to add another element, which is the text element here. So we click plus, text, grab that, boom, just like that, okay? And then we go ahead and copy our next part. So we copy from the line break down to the next line break. Boom, just like that. I'm going to go ahead and you'll see over here on my keyboard, Command C, right? So I'm copying it. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to highlight over here. And I'm going to, you'll see on here, this is the hotkey right here, Command or Control on a Windows computer, V. Now, you'll notice it did the same thing with all of the spacing, and I don't like this. Now, of course, I could come in here and I would have to fix the spacing and do all of this and all that. I don't want to do that. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to undo. Do you remember what undo is? It's Command or Control Z. You'll see it's undoing my spacing that I just did. One more, boom. It undid the paste that I just did previously. From there, what I'm going to go ahead and do is I like to just go ahead and make sure that I copy once again. So I'm going to go back over to my document. It's blue highlighted. I'm going to Command C, copy. I'm going to come over here. I'm going to right click and I'm going to go ahead and paste and special style. Now, what you could also do is you could do Command Shift V. Okay, so Command Shift V does the same as paste and match style. So, right, you see how there's multiple ways to do the same thing on a computer, right? So you can either right click and then copy and paste, or right click, copy and paste, match style, or you could use the hotkeys by kind of like shortcuts, right? Hotkeys just means shortcuts, right? And so you could also then decide that you want to do Command Shift or Control Shift on a Windows computer, V, and that'll do the exact same thing, okay? And so again, you just want to make sure that it is kind of formatting exactly the same way that you have it on here, and then it does look like they added an extra space, so I'm going to go ahead and backspace that so that way it is all nice over there, okay? Beautiful. So we've gone ahead now and gotten to the next line break. We're going to now go ahead and add another plus button, okay? And we're going to go ahead and add another text element on there. Beautiful. And this is now going to be the terms of sale. So I'm going to go ahead and copy all the way down to the line break. I'm going to do the exact same process that I did before, paste and match style, and then I'm going to go ahead and backspace so that way it's nice and even there. And I'll go ahead and X this out over here. You see, so once you're actually in the flow of it, it is actually pretty straightforward for you to be able to go ahead and do this. And we've done already 80 to 90% of the work by having these line breaks for you, so you know exactly where you need to actually make the next page. Because here's the thing, if you don't do it that way, let me show you what happens here. You'll see right here on the left side, it says PDF page break, right? Because what's going to end up happening then is that if you just had this as just a massive one-page document, then what would happen is that in the PDF, right? Because this is a virtual screen that you're looking at. The PDF that would be sent as a confirmation to the actual client would end up kind of breaking in random places, right? So it wouldn't be organized the way that you want it to be. So it's very important that you actually follow the page breaks on here. Now, the other thing that I just noticed as we were scrolling up here was that it looks like it did not save the bolding that I wanted to have, right? So it did payment authorization and it actually went ahead and did that as a 16 heading 2. Well, you know what? I actually wanted this to be pretty big as well. And so I want to go ahead and I can actually change this to, let's say make it a little bit bigger. That's a heading 4. So if I make that a heading 4, I actually have to come back over here and make this into a heading 4 as well. Right now, if it looks like you can't see over here, that's because over here, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So that would be heading 4. And then I just want to make sure that it is consistent throughout what it is that I'm looking at. So I'm just kind of messing around with the screen over here. Now this one up here, this one's fine to be heading 2 because that's kind of like the heading for all of it. So that's good. And then payment authorization. Let me just make sure in the Google document that there was no other bolding that should be there. It looks like there's some bolding for over here when it comes to program deliverables and all of that. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here. I'm going to highlight this and then let me show you my keyboard over here. You could go in and you could go ahead and select somewhere over here where it'd be bold, right? So right over here, you could click bold and manually click it, and you could click underline and manually click it. Or if you learn the hotkey, it's going to be Command and then the letter B. And then for underline, it's just going to be Command and then the letter U, right? And so just like that, it's going to go ahead and bold and underline it, all right? And then same thing over here, we have total program cost, right? So once again, all I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to highlight total program cost, and I could go in and click on these buttons up here, or I could do Command B, Command U. Or if you're on a Windows, that would be the same thing with Control, okay? Then payment terms over here, payment terms, Command B and Command U. Just like that, okay? So again, you just wanted to make sure that it's formatted exactly the way that it is inside of the document. And so it looks like this should actually be with agreement at the bottom there. Beautiful. So we are rocking and rolling here, ladies. Let's keep this going. So we're just going to make sure that we're good to go here. Okay, awesome. And next up from there, we're going to see payment authorization is good. Terms of sale. Let's go and check if terms of sale. Yep, that's good. That should be a heading 4. Awesome. Next up we have on here is a participation term. Okay. So in this case, let me see, is the heading... should it be underlined on here? So in this case, in the Google Doc, it wasn't underlined. And that's actually going to be something that I'm going to ask the team to actually go ahead and change in the actual formatting on there. Is I think that it should just be bold instead of the paragraph over there. So let me actually just give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. So I actually went ahead and I requested the team to change this inside of the template because I think that making it bold and underlined is going to stand out a little bit better. Again, this is completely up to you how you want to do it. But instead of making it heading 2, what we'll end up doing is we'll just make it a paragraph heading and we'll just make it a bold and underline, right? And then also in the Google document, you're going to notice on your version, because it's going to be updated by the time you see it, is that we also did go ahead and you'll see over here, instead of paragraph 4, make it paragraph, just paragraph and then bold underline. And then also duration has now been bold underline. And then program has also now been bold underline as well. Okay, so again, we're just following what's going to be in the Google document for you in your Google document that should be updated there, right? So if we scroll down here, we now should be good to go. We got the over here terms of sale, we got the participation term, and then we hit the line. And now we're going to go ahead and do our new page over here. We're going to go ahead and scroll down, hit the plus button, text. And I think the reason why it was giving me that heading was because we have this heading over here, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead and take all this out. And just so you know, here's another computer one for you, right? So if you do Command or Control A, okay, so if you do Command or Control the letter A, it will actually select all, okay? And then you can actually go ahead and backspace from there. So if you didn't know some of these shortcuts, we're just teaching you some of the shortcuts so that way it's a little bit faster on there. And then for this, now we're gonna go ahead, so you'll see we're at C, now we gotta continue with D, so we're gonna go ahead and highlight all of this with our mouse and go all the way down to the page break, okay? And then again, get my virtual keyboard on here. I'm just showing you this on your keyboard. You don't need a virtual keyboard, of course, but on my case, since I'm on an Apple computer, Command C, that's gonna copy it. We're gonna come over here. I'm gonna go ahead and Command V. Again, I messed up because I needed to make sure that was paste with style. So I undo, Command Z, and then I paste and match style. Boom, just like that. Remove that little space. And right there, we barely made it with the page break, which is good. No issues there. And then what we're going to do is we're going to see where the bolding is, right? So the bolding on here is going to be only for limitation of use. So we come over here, and then again, you're going to see on here, I'm going to use the hotkey, the shortcut. It's going to be Command B and then Command U. Boom, just like that. See, you're learning if you didn't already know it, all right? Next up, we're gonna go ahead and add another page, add another text block right there, just like that. I'm gonna go ahead and do my select all, right? So I do Command A, I'm gonna then undo, or no, excuse me, not undo, backspace. So that way it removes that. And then I'm gonna continue, copy, just like this, get all the way down here. I'm gonna go ahead and actually not Command V, I almost did Command V, I need to paste and match style. Right, backspace that just a little bit so it looks good. And then let's see, non-solicitation, Command B, Command I. Any other bold or underline? Or Command I, excuse me, I suppose Command U is underline on there. Beautiful, so it looks like we are good to go. Next one we're gonna go ahead and do, add a new page. We're gonna go ahead and do plus button, add a text box. I'm gonna do Command A to undo, or excuse me, Command A to select all, and then backspace to take that out, copy all of this over here. You'll see, so I'm doing it with you guys. Oh, see, I made a mistake. I was too quick on that one. I gotta do paste and match style. And the only one that's gonna be here is gonna be confidentiality, is gonna be Command B and Command U. That is going to bold and underline for us. Or of course, the buttons are there if you wanted to do it via the buttons, okay? Beautiful, keep on going here. We're gonna go ahead and plus button and plus button here, text. I'm gonna go ahead and select all, so that way we remove that from there. I'm gonna then go ahead and select the next piece that's on here. Boom, oopsie daisies, made a mistake, Command Z, paste and match style, very nice. And then program content and liability. That's going to be Command B and Command U, okay? Any other bold? Nope, doesn't look like it. All right, we are chugging along here. We're going to just repeat the same process over and over again. So Command A, select all, backspace. Okay, awesome. And then get down over to the line And just like that, whoopsie, I keep making that mistake. I got to undo it. Paste and match style. We're getting a little bit of a trigger happy over here. Shortcut happy. Progress photos, okay? So progress photos, Command B, Command U. And then that is the only bold and underline on this page. All right, next up, we continue. All right, physical results and disclaimer, okay? So we're going to do plus button here, text, boom, shakalaka. Then we go ahead and get this right here up until the line, and then we go ahead and paste and match style. Undo at the bottom, so that way it's nice and clean. Not undo, excuse me, backspace at the bottom. I keep saying undo. We're going to backspace at the bottom, and then the only bold and underline is going to be at the very top here. Bold, underline, boom, just like that, all right? Then, next up, arbitration. So again, all of this is important because it's going to help protect you legally, right? So you go over here, plus button here, text, boom, and then paste and match style, remove the little extra space there, and see the only bold is going to be arbitration. Boom, just like that. And you'll see as you start to get better at this, it's literally just a one-time project and you are good to go. We've already done all the hard work for you. So you just come over here, boom, paste and match style. Okay, very nice. Remove that little space at the bottom there. And then I believe the only bold and underline is going to be this top one here. Awesome, very nice. And then we got another page. We're almost done here. Text. Highlight this and remove that. Okay. Risks. Boom. Okay. And we're going to paste and match style. Boom. And then now we actually have quite a few bold and underline, right? So over here, confidentiality. Highlight that. And then benefits and to be expected. Bold and underline that. And risks is also going to be bold and underlined. Now at this point, you get the gist of this. I'm actually going to go ahead and finish the rest of the pages on here. It shouldn't take me more than a couple minutes, but I don't want you to have to wait around for me because if you're watching this, you're like, okay, I get the gist of this. So let me finish putting all the pages on there and then we will go ahead and come back and I'll show you what we're going to go ahead and do in order to finalize building this out inside of ClientKit. All right, welcome back. So I've just gone ahead and finished copying and pasting because it's just a copy and paste game. The infrastructure inside of ClientKit didn't allow us to be able to have this as a template for you. So you actually just had to go in and kind of just copy and paste it, but we made it as easy as possible for you, okay? And so what you're gonna then notice is that once you've gone ahead and finished the copying and pasting of the document, we then go back over to the guide, okay? And what you'll see is that in the guide, it says, okay, building the pages. Beautiful. Now, this is very important. There's 13 pages all together. Let's go back over here. Oh, and I want to make sure you got to hit save. Very important. Okay. Now, it does give you an error on here for updating the data. That's because we have an issue over here. I'll walk you through this in just a second. Okay. However, let me close this very quickly. You'll see we should have 13 pages all together. Now remember, if it's worth doing right. So make sure that you have done this right. Now what you're going to do is you're going to then, to finish off this build, you're going to add a signature box. So let me go ahead and show you this so we can actually then start to save because I get nervous when we've done all this work and we haven't actually saved yet, okay? We're going to add a client signature box. We're going to click on the plus button. We are then going to go down over here to fillable fields and we're going to drag this and we're going to put it right over there. Now, when we put it, it allows us to be able to drag wherever we want the signature field to go. So we just go ahead and put it right over there, okay? And then it's going to give us this box over here. We don't want to have to select any of this, okay? So you can just close this, not an issue there, all right? Now, once you place this, if you notice that the formatting is a little bit off, it's okay if you have to come in and you have to kind of like, add a little bit of a space here in order to make this. But in this case, mine's worked out good. You can go ahead and see how yours works out. Just make it look very good. Now, what's going to end up happening here is that sometimes you will get that custom variables error. And let me show you what I mean by these custom variables because this is very important for you to understand. Okay, so custom variables are going to be variables. You see these like big bracket ones? These are going to be variables that are inputted by the actual software automatically based off of what the client's name is going to be. And so what that means is that there is an error, so we have to actually fix them before we can save. So how we're going to do this is we're going to go ahead and actually just highlight. So let's say, for example, we come over here and we go to contact first name, right? So we highlight that. And then there's going to be this button that's right over here that's going to say custom variables. If I go ahead and put my mouse over it, you'll see it says custom values. Okay, custom values is right there. And then what we do is we go over down to contact. And then you see it says contact first name, right? So we just go ahead and click contact first name. That fixes that one, right? And then we do the same thing. We do contact right over here, contact last name. So we're telling the software, hey, this is where you're going to put the contact or the client's name automatically. And so then the same thing applies here. So signature date, let me show you what the custom value for this is, right? So I select this and then I go over here to custom values and then you go over here to right now. And then right now, it's going to go ahead and put, do you want to put the exact second that this is right now, the exact minute? What you're going to do is you're going to come down over here to, you're going to put the date, and the date is going to be, if you're in the US, it's typically going to be month, day, year. You're going to select that one, boom, just like that. And then contact email address. This is the one that kind of gets messed up sometimes, right? So contact email, we go ahead and highlight that. Contact values, contact. Okay, make sure you don't go to account. Sometimes we've made that mistake. You go to account and you put account name. No. You be careful with this, okay? You go to contact and you go contact email, just like that, okay? And then you just want to confirm, because there are some ones at the top, at the very top, all the way up, okay? There are a couple ones over here as well, right? So as of right now, and then right here, you'll see is now established. You want to highlight that. And then just make sure that one should be good to go as well, right? So you just confirm, you go over your custom values, right? So let me actually close this out because that's why the custom values aren't showing up. You go over here to right now, and then you go to date and time. And then I believe that is all of the ones that we have. So that means that there are 4 custom values throughout the entire thing. Very, very easy to remember, just 4 of them, right? So you got this one, I showed you how to do that one. And then you got the 3 at the very bottom that we went in and showed you as well. Now, after you've done that, it should go ahead and allow you to hit save, okay? Boom, just like that. So you can see the one that was actually messed up, and the reason why was because it was blue on the contact email one. So that way, when we copied it from the Google Doc, it kind of got messed up on there. But now that we fixed that, it does allow us to save. Very, very, very important. Make sure you do, in fact, go in and save, because you do not want to lose any of this hard work that you've gone ahead and finished. Beautiful. So now that once you've gone ahead and done that, right? So I know this one was a little bit more technical. You have to learn a little bit more about the agreement builder inside of ClientKit, but this is another one of the reasons why we think that the business platform is so amazing, is because it has all of these amazing features inside of it. But that, ladies and gentlemen, is exactly what we wanted to walk you through when we said, hey, guess what? We got to now build the agreement inside of ClientKit, right? So part 1, we went ahead and talked about editing the Google document. So that way everything was ready, Command, Shift, all of that kind of stuff, find, all that stuff, right? That was taken care of. And then building the agreement inside of ClientKit, where we did also learn a bunch of new computer skills if you didn't know about those keyboard shortcuts and all of that, right? So now that we have save, you'll notice that if I do go and go back over here, and then I do go back and see the templates, you will see that it does show the template right there. And if I go over here to templates, you will see that it is in fact right there, okay? So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, now what we're gonna go ahead and do in the next training section, we're gonna go ahead and walk you through, okay, how do I set up email notifications? We're gonna walk you through that step by step. Again, we've already done 80 to 90% of the work for you. We already have created the email templates for you as well. You're just gonna go ahead and download them for yourself, and then you're just gonna go ahead and set them up. And then we're gonna walk you through how to actually send the agreement to a client. Once you actually have to do that, we'll walk you through how to test the entire setup as well. Okay, so with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the first step of getting your client agreement set up, part 1 and part 2. We're going to go ahead and continue the process in part 3 and part 4. We will catch you in the next training section.